got deferred. Now what? This video is going to concentrate on when you get deferred from either early action or early decision. If you get deferred from early action, you really shouldn't worry that much. Definitely follow these steps to ensure that you have the highest chance to get accepted from that wait list. But if you got deferred from early decision, then there is a little bit more reason to worry, just because when you apply early decision, and you can watch my what is early decision video, I'll link it up here. When you apply early decision, your chance of getting into the school are a little higher. And so if you're getting deferred, even though your chances to get in were higher, obviously there's a little bit of a reason for concern there. However, it doesn't mean that you won't make it when they compare you to the other applicants. So just because you got deferred as an early decision applicant doesn't mean that you will automatically be rejected. It just means that your application was maybe weak in some areas, but the admissions committee still sees potential in you, and also appreciates that they are probably your top school and you were committed to attending. That's why you applied early decision. And once the applicant pool expands, maybe they'll see that you should be accepted. But I would not recommend just resting in your laurels until you get that letter in the mail saying that you got accepted or rejected. You should be proactive in what you do. There's plenty of things that you could do without being needy or desperate, but simply to show that you are really interested in going to this school. So that's what I'm going to outline in this video, and keep on watching. First thing that you're going to want to do is call the admissions office and ask for the regional admissions officer who read your file. So let's say you're from the Midwest, let's say you're from Illinois. So you're going to call up Northwestern University and ask for the admissions officer that reads files from the Midwest, and if they have a specific one for Illinois, if you could please get in touch with them. So the receptionist might take down your number and let you know when you'll be contacted, or they just take your information or pass your phone call on to the actual counselor. So you gotta be ready to speak to them on the spot. I know that this is nerve-wracking, but it shows that you kind of have an adult mindset and you do things on your own. Please don't have your parent contact them. Do this for yourself. Just take a deep breath and you can do it. Don't worry about it. The main point of making this phone call is 1, to make a good impression, and 2, to find out if there is anything that you can do to improve your chances of acceptance once you've been deferred. So at this point, there's a high chance that the person who reviewed your file hasn't met you. So to them, you're just a bunch of numbers and words and statistics all thrown into just a pile of paper. And what the phone call does, humanizes you, which is always a good thing. And if you can make a good impression, then that phone call could be one of the determining factors for that person saying, you know what, maybe we should look at this kid further and decide that we do want to accept him or her. Things that are definite don'ts for when you're speaking with this very important person are: don't ask to meet them in person because that's creepy and unprofesh. Second, don't badmouth the school, your school, the admissions committee, because that's just going to get you crossed off that list real quick, and not for a good reason. Also, don't make excuses for weak spots in your application. Don't say, oh, when I went to take my SAT, my dog died, and so that's why I got a 1500, blah, blah, blah. Not that a 1500 is a bad number, I'm just giving an example. And also, don't push a question after you've asked the first time and they've either given you an answer that you don't like, or a non-conclusive or inconclusive answer, or they've said, I don't know, or I'll check with you later, whatever. Once they've given you that type of answer, just don't ask the question again, because either it will seem like you weren't paying attention, or you'll seem pushy, which, who likes a pushy person? So that's the first thing that you can do, is get in touch personally with the admissions person and speak to them over the phone. Second thing that you can do is you can write an update letter. So you're going to want to let enough time pass by that you actually have things to talk about in this update letter. You should definitely personalize it to highlight the strides that you've made during your senior year since you got the deferred letter. So you're going to want to talk about any academic accomplishments, or if you've kept up, which you should have, your upward grade trend or all A grades. You're also going to want to talk about any leadership, any new leadership positions that you've acquired, such as captain of a team or president of a club. You're also going to want to talk about any community service that you've embarked on, or mention that you've continued to stay involved in the community service that you mentioned in your application, so that they know that you haven't caught on with senioritis and you're still giving your best and doing everything that in the application it says that you've been doing. But you especially want to mention any new stuff that you're starting to get involved with, or that you've gained or been awarded since they last read your application. The third thing that you could do is you could send an extra recommendation letter. So what I suggest is that you speak with the admissions person and you ask them if you could send an extra recommendation letter from X, Y, or Z person, and just try to be persuasive but not pushy, because if you think that this recommendation letter can really boost your chances of a thumbs up in whether you are going to be accepted into the school or not, then obviously being able to submit it would be a huge plus. So when you're asking for this recommendation letter, you're going to want to ask for a focus on the current academic progress that you're making. So if you're asking a teacher to write this for you, don't let them know not to focus on like your previous years or your career as a whole in terms of like the 4 years that you've been in high school. Just ask them if they could focus on the now, on how you're doing now in the class, to mention that you haven't let senioritis get in the way of your A+ grade, etc. Also, you can ask them to reiterate that this is your top choice school. Maybe they can say that they've heard you talking about it since your freshman year or since the beginning of the year, or that it's like a known fact that that's, Northwestern is your top choice. And that's obviously going to boost the chances of you getting accepted, because the school is going to see that you're not just joking around. The fourth and last thing that you could do is you can garner support from non-teachers. Let's say that you've ignored everything I've said and you've let senioritis get in the way of your good grades. Well, you can still salvage this. And what you can do is you can ask a coach or your advisor or your boss, if you have a job, or an alum that you know of, to write a letter for you, or to put in a good word for you, for your progress, the progress that you've made. But rather than a phone call, unless it's an alum, which the phone call is okay, anyone else, like the coach, the advisor, the boss, it's better to just write a recommendation letter for you, where they highlight what you tell them to highlight. So the things that you've been doing, how you've been doing, maybe not academically, but outside the classroom in terms of leadership skills, community service, etc. They can talk about any new positions that you've acquired, or, for example, your boss can talk about any more responsibility that you've taken on since the beginning of the year, this, that, the other, and they can possibly help you boost your chances of getting in. An alum especially can do this. So if you didn't already include a letter from the school, like a graduate of the school, with your regular application and you got deferred, then now is the chance to connect with this person, sit down, have the meeting that the same meeting that you kind of had with your teacher or your guidance counselor prior to them writing a recommendation letter, and just get to know them, talk about the school, talk about what you would bring to the school, why it's your top choice, etc., and ask them if they can write a recommendation letter for you. And that would show that you are proactive and that you're really taking steps towards getting into the school, to the admissions counselor that's reading this letter and hearing from you on the phone, etc. And these are things that can truly make the difference for whether you get in or not. There's people who do other things, like make videos and send in like supplementary things. And I mean, you could consult with other people like your guidance counselor what you should do, whether you should take these extra steps or not. But I think that these 4 recommendations are definitely surefire ways to make you look better. So I hope that this was helpful for you guys. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for all the new subscribers.
Yeah,